Our plank hold may seem like a very simple exercise, but it's actually one that can be very easily cheated on, and it's an exercise that, if done correctly, can be one of the best exercises for our core with very low or little strain on the low back. Main muscle groups being worked is those muscles around those abs. We're also working on our postural muscles in our back, our shoulders, our triceps, our chest for that stabilization, as well as those muscles in those quads and those hip flexors to hold us in that position. Set up for this, we're going to come on down onto those forearms to where those elbows are directly underneath of those shoulders. We're going to pop on up onto those toes. Try to make a nice straight line from the head all the way down to those heels. Eyes should be looking at about wrist level or so here. Focusing on pulling that belly button up towards the spine, squeezing that belly button. Most common mistake I see made on this exercise is not truly engaging our core here and instead recruiting other muscles to hold in position. It's kind of easy to hold a plank here once you've done it for a while without really focusing on those abs. If you really put all that pressure on those abs, it's going to be a lot harder to do a plank, but it's going to be a lot more beneficial to you. So what I want to talk about here is kind of that pulling in motion with your stomach, kind of sucking that belly button towards the spine and hinging those hips under. Think about kind of tucking your butt as you pull that belly button on in. So we're going to get up into position. I'm going to show you the two differences here. So popping on up into position just like this right here. This is kind of the easy version of a plank. I'm holding, I have a nice straight line fairly from my heels to my head, but I'm not really focusing so much on my core for this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to suck my belly button in as I kind of tuck my butt under, and immediately I can feel my abs start to shake a little bit and resist this movement. I'm pulling that belly button in towards my spine. I'm pushing kind of my hips under slightly, but I'm still trying to focus on keeping that straight line from my head down to my heels. Think about this movement. Practice doing it, practice getting in a position, and then kind of sucking that belly button in, tucking those hips slightly. Try to get to that point where you can feel those abs start to engage and start to shake when you're in that plank movement. That will mean you're getting the most out of it. Easier option for this plank movement is coming up onto the wrists. This will be a little bit easier on your core than down on the forearms. You can also drop down onto those knees to make it easier still. Biggest thing to focus on though when dropping to those knees is the hips are not staying up into the air. We're keeping them down in a nice straight line, engaging our abs. If you want this exercise to be a little tougher, you can walk those forearms on out to where those elbows now are in front of those shoulders, and still that same movement here.